Welcome to r/justnohoa, where we read stories about crazy ex-boyfriends and girlfriends, and since this is a kind of niche subreddit, it would be nice if you could let me know whether you want to hear more stories of it or not. In any case, please stick around until the end of the video because we have a little church drama special. Without any further ado, let's dive right in. It's the neighbors. Back in late summer/early fall of 2009, I came home from the doctor's office with a positive pregnancy test. It was in a sealed clear container, no grossness happening there, that I left on the kitchen table. I was excited to be pregnant as I didn't think I could. I also thought this would make my husband's and I's marriage better, as it was what I thought was rough. Turns out I was brainwashed by him and he had been severely emotionally, mentally and verbally abusive for some time now. At this time we lived in the country. Each house had a minimum of 5 acres, the next door neighbor lady and I were friends and I would walk the 10 minutes to her house regularly to visit. Up until this point, my husband, now ex, had seemingly been, if not supportive, permissive regarding our friendship. He had cut me off from any previous friends as well as my family members. Well, he came home from work and saw the cup on the table and this conversation followed. Husband:
What is that?
OP: That is something that I want to show you, look at it. Husband:
Quit the crap, just tell me.
OP: It's a pregnancy test, I'm pregnant. Husband:
What do you mean you're pregnant? We cannot afford that.
OP: What do you mean we cannot afford it? It's not a puppy. Husband:
You cheated on me, it's not mine.
OP: I did not cheat on you. Who would I cheat on you with? I don't know anyone except neighbor lady and FTM friend from work who I only hang out with at work. Which one did I cheat on you with to get pregnant? Husband:
It must have been
neighbor lady.
You're always over there, so you might as well go tell her congratulations on her new baby.
OP: Fine. I marched right over there and promptly told her that I was pregnant and she was the father, according to my husband. Have you guys ever been accused of cheating? In my opinion, jealousy can easily destroy a relationship. Being stalked 1000 miles away. I never knew it was possible to get stalked from 1000 miles away, but it can happen with the help of social media and psychotic in-laws. In March of 2018, my ex left me after 3 years of dating. But it did not end there. We kept effing with each other's heads and he stuck around for another month or so. Until I finally found someone better for me who I am now currently engaged to. When my ex found out about him, things got dark. Right before I officially got with my king, my ex wanted to come over, give me a drawing and have closure. I agreed because it seemed like the most mature way to deal with this. I was ecstatic. Big nope. He would not leave my apartment. I felt trapped because he threatened to wreck his car and end his own life if I made him leave or called the cops. I did not know what to do. I had work the next morning. My ex would not leave my bed either. Feeling threatened, I slept on the couch with a knife. We have not made contact since. I met my fiance through his little sister, who I was best friends with for 3 years. Best friends until my fiance and I moved to Texas. She is now currently engaged to a girl, 20 years old, who faked a suicide and dated a 14-year-old. That's a story for later. Anyway, me and that girl have always been enemies. Her fiance used to be an enemy of hers as well. We still don't know what changed, but ever since she got with her, we noticed she's showing a lot of sociopathic tendencies. She would write me and my fiance hateful messages out of nowhere, and then block us before we would get a chance to speak up. We blocked her on everything after that. She still manages to get through to me. She sent me an email, more hateful stuff, but the thing that stood out the most is she admits to using my stalker/abuser as leverage against me. She's telling him everything about me. Where I live, where I work, who I am with, etc. I am 1000 miles away from them, but I'm shook because anything can happen at this point. I feel sort of stuck. It is so bad to where I have been getting nightmares of my ex finding me. Have you guys ever experienced that? That an ex of yours suddenly turned in sort of a psychopath after you broke up with him and then proceeded to stalk you? I'm pretty lucky that that never happened to me, and honestly I hope it never will. Restraining orders covers family too. Posted by user TupperPupper on r/RipeStories. I have posted this story in the CrazyExStories subreddit, so this CrazyX is not mine but my fiance's. This woman is beyond crazy and would use any means to get her away, even playing the victim card. When my fiancé and her were dating, she would manipulate him into forking over his own money to fuel her drinking and drug habits, and when he said no, she called the cops on him to the point he was thrown into jail for 3 months for common assault. No investigation was done, just straight to court and then jail. It took him about a month to break up with her, but in her eyes, they are still together. When we began dating, she would call him all hours of the night, claiming that she missed him, but her mother would call an hour later, making up excuse after excuse. When we got engaged, that was when shit hit the fan. She began coming to my workplace, yelling insults at me, calling and texting my own family and friends, telling them that I
stole him from her
and that I
was going to be very sorry that I ever laid eyes on him.
We handed over the evidence to the police and got a restraining order against her and her family as they sided with her. It did not stop her from contacting my family and doing her crap all over again. It got that bad she ended up calling the police on me, even though she was breaking the AVO/RO by being under 100 feet from my workplace. We are taking her to court, though she's pleading innocence, as she did not know that restraining orders covers family. You know guys, one thing that surprises me, these people who get restraining orders, don't they notice that something is obviously wrong with them? Especially considering that the restraining order was filed by a person that they loved in the past. Did you ever have to file a restraining order against somebody? Let us know in the comments. And now let's continue to the next story. This story is titled, "My ex tried to take his own life and then spread rumors about me cheating." I'm using a throwaway account for this post. Standard mobile user warning. At my high school, there's this one girl that I had a crush on since middle school that I will refer to as Renee. Renee was pretty basic, constantly showing cleavage and all that. And yep, I should have known much earlier not to get with her. Anyway, near the end of our freshman year, I ask her to be my girlfriend and she says yes. So we are together for a little while, chilling in our PE class together. We don't really do anything in gym the last week of school, laying in a corner and cuddling. School gets out, things are okay. Then, about 2 weeks later, she explodes at me, talking about how I don't love her and I just want to get back with my other ex. I will refer to her as Cheyenne. And she has a lot of crap going on with her family, so she leaves and does not text me again for a while. Fast forward to the end of July, Cheyenne and I are happily back together. Turns out the reason she broke up with me before was because she was scared I would leave her for a girl that went to my school and did not want to get hurt due to the lack of seeing each other and ease of communication if I was with someone at my school instead. I told Renee and she was not happy with that at all. She was talking about how she hoped that we didn't work out and that she could get me back, and I told her I wanted to help, but that I would not leave Cheyenne for her. I ignored her for the rest of the night. A few days later, Renee started talking to me again. It was okay until I mentioned my girlfriend. She went off on me about how much she wanted me and all the usual crap. So I wrote a long message back explaining that I didn't want to get back with her and that I was happy with Cheyenne for the first time in a long time. Then, from what her friend told me, she was in her bathroom about to slit her wrists. He cussed me out, I told him what was really going on, blocked her Snap and did not hear from Renee or her friend again. Well, that's what I would like to say. After another week or two, school started up again, everything was okay, Renee did not try to talk or anything. After football practice got out, I checked my phone and I got a message from her Instagram. We were talking and again, it was okay until Cheyenne was mentioned. She flipped out because,
"You know how I feel when you bring her up."
Like I was supposed to cater to her feelings. I told her to stop and if she did, we could be friends again. Yeah, another bad decision, I'm on a roll. As you could tell, she was not satisfied. She freaked out even more, talking crap about Cheyenne and how if it wasn't for her, she would still have me. I said I was sorry, but I stuck firmly with what I said before. I was not going to leave her for Renee. I heard later that she tried to cut again, directly from her. The next day she started talking to me. I felt bad about what happened and felt responsible for it, so I tried to comfort her and make her feel better. Don't worry, last bad decision, too bad it ends the way it does before I could realize what I did wrong. So I hugged her. After that, she pulled me in and kissed me. I told her that that was not okay and that I was in a happy relationship and I did not want it to be ruined because of her. She stormed off and immediately started spreading a rumor about me kissing her. People started to believe her and attacked me for it, calling me a horrible person and other things. No one would believe me, I felt so alone. She also constantly tried to talk to me, walking by me down the halls, trying to get my attention. I tried to ignore her as best as I could, but she would not leave me alone. I tried telling her to leave me alone constantly and let her know she was harassing me, but it still did not work. The only people that stuck by my side through her drama were Cheyenne and my best friend that I will call Elaine. The whole weekend I talked to Cheyenne and Elaine about what I would do to get her to leave me alone. We decided I would report her suicidal tendencies to make sure she got proper help, and whoever she gets attention from will likely tell her to avoid me. I'm either reporting her tomorrow or Tuesday as of when I'm typing this. Wish me luck everyone. And I know what some of my viewers might think, why the F is Ripe reading some kind of high school story, but in my opinion the topic of this story is extremely important. And I'm curious to know if you guys ever had to deal with an ex-girlfriend or boyfriend which threatened to commit suicide in case she or he did not get what they want. In my opinion, it's very hard to deal with those people, and I think the OP in the story did the best she could. Let me also know in the comments if you think OP should have done something different. The next one is titled, "He told me I want to get pregnant by him." This happened a few years ago, and nowadays I actually laugh at the ridiculousness of this story, but when it happened, it was very traumatizing. I come from a country in the Balkans and I dated a Scandinavian guy. Looking back at the situation, this person is a huge narcissist who believes all women are attracted to him and everybody who is friends with him wants to take advantage of his amazing skills. For 3 months all was going well and we were already having intercourse without a condom since I was on the pill. I had told him that I am terrified of becoming pregnant and we had talked about our opinions on abortions and that both of us are pro-choice and not ready to be parents. It was great that we were on the same page in case something happened. One day, this guy eats some space cookies and gets high to the point of becoming paranoid. He then texts me insisting that I go to his place as soon as possible. When I pressed him on the reason for this urgency, he says that he's paranoid that I'm pregnant and that I need to take a pregnancy test in front of him this very day. I was furious and I called him, yelling that he cannot speak to me this way, but finally I agreed to go to him and do it. I went to his place, we bought the test together and he followed me in the bathroom to see me pee on it. It was so unreal, the test was negative of course, but he was out of his mind and he made me take both just in case. He said he ate the cookies the previous day and since then he cannot stop thinking that I am one of those Eastern European women who go to Scandinavia to get pregnant by a guy there and get money from the government and from the father of the child. I was speechless, I cried, I was so offended. For 2 years there, nobody had ever discriminated me on a nationality basis. I also believe that I am a caring and giving person and I had never allowed him to buy me anything as I love being independent. He said he knows I'm not that type of person, but that his paranoia is too strong. He wanted to hold off any type of sex until I got my period. Although I was able to see that he was delusional, I agreed and said that we should wait for the weed to wear off before we make any rash choices. A few days later, we met again, he felt much better, we spent the whole day together, I met his flatmates, etc. Later in the evening, he decided he wanted to have sex and I agreed. Just as we are about to do it, he stops me and he explains that he cannot do it because he cannot stop thinking about me wanting to get pregnant by him. I sat there naked in shock. We talked for a few hours with me trying to find reason with him, but finally we just agreed it's over and I went home. Nowadays, when I think about this situation, I hope with my whole heart that he lied about his paranoid beliefs just because he did not know how to break up with me. I believe that it would be better for a person to be an a-hole than to be that delusional. I wish him all the best and better mental health in the future. I gotta say, if I would be the girl in that story, I would instantly break up with that guy in case he would assume something evil like that. I mean, unless you have proof, that is really a terrible accusation to make against someone you love. The next story has no title, but is from Ask Reddit, also about crazy exes. Not nearly as crazy, but on 9/11 my ex and I heard about the planes hitting the towers on the radio on our way to a coffee shop where I was going to work on my thesis. After the second report I said, "That was not an accident." He proceeded to call me
effing stupid
and rambled on and on about how effing dumb I was to say that, of course it was a effing accident, nobody would effing do that on purpose. We get to the coffee shop where they had wheeled out a TV on a cart and had it in the middle of the restaurant so patrons could watch what was going on. We sat and watched. Eventually one of the towers came down as we were watching live footage. Immediately I burst into tears. I knew I had just watched innocent people die. I was wondering, oh my god, how many people were still in that building? Plus my brother was on a flight when it happened. I later found out his flight was forced to land before it reached its destination and he had to get a rental car and drive home, but he was fine. And one of my friends worked in the financial district in New York City. I was distraught. Anyone with any humanity would have been distraught. He leaned over, put his arm around me. I thought he was trying to comfort me. Then he hissed in my ear,
"You're effing embarrassing me and making a scene. Stop crying or go sit in the car."
That was the moment I knew I was done. We lived together, so I was biding my time and planning to leave. A few weeks later, during an argument, I wanted to go out with my friends. He did not want me to go because he got very angry when I had any fun. He pinned me against the wall and said,
"I wish I could punch you in the effing face right now,"
and then left. The next day I packed my stuff while he was at work. He was broken, the part of him with empathy just was not there. Pretty sure that guy was a psychopath. I'm very glad for OP that she broke up with that guy. And the next story is gonna be from r/ripe stories and was posted by user BillC1958 and it is titled Church Drama. This has nothing to do with ex-boyfriends or girlfriends, so in case you're not interested in church drama, you can turn off the video. Hey Mr. Ripe, I hope you're having a good day. I have a story I did not expect to share until I heard you read one about a young person suffering at the hands of a pastor. I have my own story about that, one that caused me a great deal of pain and suffering. You can use it if you like. When I was 14, I felt very disillusioned by the church my parents had raised me in. It was primarily based on tradition rather than the Bible and just did not feel real to me. I came into contact with a different church, one that was exactly what I was looking for, and I was thrilled. My parents, however, were not thrilled. So for the next 4 years I had to continue to go to church with them, not allowed to go to my church, and even occasionally being hit for talking about it. When I turned 18 and graduated from high school, I immediately moved out of my parents' house into a place close to my church and started attending regularly. We had services Sunday morning, Sunday night and Thursday night, and I was at every one. I also enrolled in the Bible school to begin preparing for ministry. I was super involved in the church, became a Sunday school teacher, joined the youth group, helped clean the church building, and even worked part-time as the elderly pastor's secretary. I was very happy. There was one fly in the ointment, however, or at least something I thought was a fly. I thought it was a major obstacle to becoming a minister or even to continuing to attend the church. I had known I was gay since I was a small boy and did not really have a problem with it until I found out other people had a problem with it. This church was 100% against it, so I did not say anything about it to anyone for a while. I thought that God would make it go away and spend hours in prayer, days fasting, etc. for that to happen. I had a close friend in the church whom I will call Diana. She had the same quirky sense of humor I do, so we could spend time together just laughing about dumb stuff. Two things happened around the same time that not only rocked my boat but very nearly sank it. First, our pastor, being well into his 70s, took on an associate pastor. This new pastor was very well known in the denomination, having been a popular evangelist for many years. He had a dynamic preaching style and was a very good teacher. Second, I decided to confide in Diana that I was gay and asked her to pray for me. She said she would. She also said she already knew. She's one of those straight people who have gaydar and knows when a person is gay. Shortly thereafter, the new pastor, whom I will call Bro J, called me into his office. He told me that the Lord told him I was having a problem with homosexuality and that he would try to help me. I found out 3 weeks later that at least in this case, the Lord was Diana, who told me she had shared the information with him. He set up a schedule of weekly counseling appointments. I was only 19 at the time and still pretty naive and immature. The counseling sessions seemed a bit odd to me and certainly did not do anything to make me feel better, but I trusted him and kept on going. Each session started off the same. He would ask me very personal questions, wanting intimate details of everything I had ever done with another man. I was not that experienced and I'm also shy about talking about such things, so I did not really have much to tell him. This led to him asking specific questions and me just answering yes or no. The next part of the session was when he would tell me that being gay was the source of every problem in my life. He told me I was dirty and sinful, useless to God, the church and society. He went on to tell me that one day I would take my own life, that it was inevitable. That is how each session went. They were confusing to say the least. But he was such a well-known, respected minister and I figured he must know what he was doing. This went on for about a year. As you might expect, I started to become suicidal. After all, he had been telling me for a year that it is what I would do. At that particular time, I was still enrolled in the Bible school and like several of the students, I had spent some time living in the church building. My room had been on the 3rd floor, which was the top floor. There was an access hatch in the ceiling of that room that led to the roof. One particular Thursday, I remember feeling absolutely awful, as if my entire world had caved in. I was believing everything Brother Jay had said about me and felt like I was wasting my time going to school because I could never be a minister and even wasting my time going to church or even living. I was going to go up onto the roof and jump off. Then I remembered that it was Thursday. We had church service that night. I knew if I jumped off, the people in the church would be very upset and it would ruin service for them. So sad that I cared so much about them and not at all about myself. So instead of going up to the roof, I went down to the 1st floor, got on the phone and called Brother Jay, still not realizing that he was the source of my trouble. I told him I felt like my whole world had caved in and I did not feel like living anymore. He made an appointment to come see me in a couple of hours. He did not show up, so I called him again. He did not apologize or explain why he had not shown up, but made a second appointment for the next morning. Again, he did not show up. The following night, there was an open Bible school class. This meant any members of the church could attend. Brother Jay was teaching. I had a really awful feeling before it began and spoke to some members of the youth group and one older friend who said they understood and would pray for me. I felt like something bad was going to happen during the class. When it didn't, I started to feel relief. But then, as he was leaving the room, Brother Jay said to me,
"I want to see you in my office in 15 minutes.
My friends saw this and came over to me, concerned. They promised they would pray for me and the older friend asked me to call her as soon as it was over. I went into the office. Brother Jay was there along with his protégé, a young man maybe 2 years older than me. I was not sure what was going to happen, but my gut feeling was that he was not going to try to help me feel better. I was right. Instead, he started asking me for information about other people in the church. I was baffled by this, as it was the last thing I expected. But the people he was asking about were my friends, people who had always been good to me, and I was not about to say anything about them. I told him I would not tell him anything because I did not think it would be right. What Brother Jay said next felt almost as if he had slapped me across the face. He said,
"With what I know about you, I could make things very difficult for you in this church."
What he was doing was very clear. He was trying to use blackmail. If I did not tell him what he wanted to know, he would tell the whole church that I was gay. I don't remember ever having felt that awful or that scared before. I remember crying like a baby, but I told him he could blackmail me if he wanted to, but I was not telling him anything. When I said the word blackmail, he recoiled as if I had slapped him. He quickly backed off, denying that he was trying to do that, but of course it was obvious he was. The meeting ended shortly thereafter. I went home and called that friend and told her what happened. I did not realize it at the time, but I had suffered an emotional breakdown. I stopped going to church, gave up on God, started drinking, and lost a lot of memory of what happened during those months. But here is when we get to the happy ending. I had given up on God, but it turned out God had not given up on me. I won't go into the details, but he got a hold of me and gave me a wake-up call, telling me that he loved me just the way I was and that all the condemnation I had felt came from other people, not from him. I used my ability with languages, which at the time already included Biblical Hebrew and Greek, to study the Bible as it was originally written. With that knowledge, in 1980, I helped found the world's first LGBTQ affirming apostolic Pentecostal church, something that has now grown into a worldwide movement. It took time for me to heal. In time, God helped me understand why Brother Jay did what he did. Unknown to me at the time, he was facing a similar struggle and saw me as a threat. He acted out of fear, not malice. I was able to forgive him, although I did send him a letter to tell him that if he ever did anything like that to anyone else, I would expose him. About 15 years later, one of our church members encountered him at a church service in Florida and privately confronted him about what he had done to me. He started to cry and said that he had made a lot of mistakes back then and would not repeat them today. Today, I am retired from active ministry. I had been ordained in 1981 and worked with new churches around the US and also helped establish missions in other countries. At the age of 45, I learned that I had a disease that runs in my family, one that would severely limit my ability to continue working. I should add that I never went into the ministry with the intention of making money. The churches I worked with were small, so even though I did full-time ministry, I had never earned any money from it. Instead, I always worked other jobs, usually full-time, to support myself and to supplement the church. I am now 61, I have not been able to work in years, but still run a website to help other people who are facing the struggle I once faced. Thank you very much, Bill, for being so brave to share that story. I'm pretty positive that there are other people in our community who might face similar struggles, and I think in the end this is a very positive story that could help a lot of people. And with that, we reached the end of the video. And guys, I have to tell you something, I'm not really sure if I'm gonna continue with the Just No Access stuff. I mean, we just started it today, but I'm not sure if you guys would like it or not. Because I gotta admit, personally, I'm not the biggest fan of it and it's not that easy to find good stories. But either way, let me know in the comments if you like these stories about ex-boyfriends/ex-girlfriends. And if you do, I will be glad to continue with them. Otherwise, we will just read more Just No HOA, entitled Hotel Guests, Crazy Neighbors, and so on. Besides that, please also let me know in the comments if you are interested in hearing revenge stories such as pro-revenge, nuclear revenge, and so on. Thank you very much for the support. In any case, I hope you have a fantastic day and I see you again tomorrow.